Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. I finally tracked down a copy of Versus Issue 1 from Image, and it was actually really good. You'll have to excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold going on. So the script is by Ivan Brandon, art by Asad Ribic, color art by Nick Klein, lettering by Adidia Bidikar, GFX and design by Tom Muller, editor Sebastian Gierner. These guys did a great job. This was a very interesting story. It takes place in some interstellar possible future or alien civilization. I'm guessing it's the future because there's what looks like some Roman legionnaires with fancy shiny new armor. The whole planet is a battle planet where people seem to wage their wars on this planet to resolve conflict or for gladiatorial sport. I'm not real clear on which. But we're following the exploits of Sada Flynn. He's a gladiator, obviously, or soldier of some kind. It sounds like all these guys are contract employees. They're not like soldiers. That's the impression I'm getting. Well, when they're fighting these Centurion type guys, all of a sudden there's an announced 3-minute war delay, and a little android comes up and tells them, hey, we're taking a break. And the fighting just stops. One of the team gets a penalty and has to be substituted out, which is really interesting that you can do that with soldiers. Then it kind of jumps around. We cut from that battlefield to a medical center where Sada's laying with a leg missing, and he's tired of dealing with doctors and wants to get back out on the battlefield. And it's weird that throughout there's little breaks where they have advertisements because everything is being broadcast. They're even beeping out the language, which in this case I don't have a problem with. It makes sense. There's one scene where he has to stop to drink a product. He says, times like these, I need a cold one. And then it's got an ad for Cherry Combat for times like these. So everything is being broadcast and filmed by this guy, and that must be completely insane to constantly be on everything he says and does. And he's got this cool, harness apparatus that gives him 6 extra arms. Yeah, he doesn't seem to use it a whole lot, but I'm sure that'll come up later. Well, anyway, he got a flagrant penalty for stabbing this dude an extra time, and he got stabbed a couple times, and the art is just amazing. It's got a real European, back when heavy metal had really good art, it had this style of art. When it had crap art, it had real crap art. But this was kind of like that Euro influence that really kind of brought the focus on the character, but at the same time having a nice environment look to it as well. So you get to see all this guy's muscles and all the equipment and stuff. It's really, really cool. It's really well done. I'm real impressed with it. Sada works for the Industrial Guard. The Legionnaires are the other team. But yeah, it looks like this is all about a war world kind of thing. And he even refers to it as his field. I could not say that people that have been telling you about this were probably right if they said it was good, because this is definitely got potential for a really cool action movie. I don't know, it's not a complete story yet. We're just on issue 1, but a lot happens. Very action oriented series so far. I'm looking forward to tracking down issue 2, and it took a little while to find issue 1, and that surprises me because I didn't expect it to be a massive hit, so I didn't order it or anything. But tracking it down was a real pain. So if you get a chance to track down the first issue, it's cheap. I highly recommend paying at least cover price, maybe $6 or $7 if you need to. I enjoyed it quite a bit, if nothing else than for the art. The art is amazing in it. The cover paper quality is kind of garbage though, so be aware of that. That cheapo paper that your fingerprints will show up on if you're not careful. But yeah, definitely give this one a shot. This is a real good book. I highly recommend it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to issue 2. I have very low expectations for Image, and this blew them out of the water. I cannot tell you how shocked I was to find an Image book that was this well done, especially with this kind of art. So this was a very happy surprise, and I wanted to pass the tip along. So thank you as always for listening, and hopefully we'll see you on the next episode. Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. Today we are looking at Versus Issue 2. This is by Ivan Brandon and Asad Ribic with Nick Klein. This is of course by Image Comics from the 2018 series. Lieutenant Flynn is back in the action in his first combat since recovery with his artificial leg, and that's a big deal. He still has some fans, but he has no real connection with most of this team. He's not really in charge anymore. He doesn't seem to be quite the superstar he was as when he got put into hospital status. So this other woman appears to be in charge now, and she's giving the orders, which he doesn't care for apparently, and some of their team seems to get gunned down. Well, he's trying to do his thing and be the star player, but doesn't seem to be quite hitting his stride. In fact, he falls for a ploy that should have been obvious to him, and he gets kind of fried in the back there. Now, this does not go over well with his publicist and his sponsors, and he starts losing sponsors. He loses the artificial leg he's got because he lost the sponsorship from that company. And we get a little bit of world building too. We see a kid getting attacked, and the police are standing around doing nothing until he transfers credits to them, and then once he transfers the payment, then maybe they'll do something. So that was pretty interesting. There's a few other things mentioned offhandedly that kind of build to something greater going on. I think might be getting addressed later down the line in sort of a rollerball kind of story arc where this hero on what is essentially a sports battlefield has to become something more. I think that's where it's going, but I can't prove it. At any rate, this issue is another great issue. The art continues to be really fantastic. It's got a strong European look to it, like old issues of Heavy Metal with the good art, not the crap. I really dig that. The artist has some amazing talent, and I think the story's got a lot of potential too. I don't know where it's going, but that's okay. And I think this book will do it. I would get it if you just like art, if you're a real big fan of European style art with that real rich, vibrant colors. And the colorist does an amazing job on this book. Let me give them a shout out. Who's the colorist? Color art, Nick Klein. Yeah, lettering by Aditya Bidikar. Fantastic job on both fronts. The way that the sponsorship stuff is inserted is really cool. Yeah, all around a fun book. I highly recommend it. I can't tell you too much about this one because there is a lot of action. A lot of action. This is a very action-oriented book. So much is going on that I think you really have to kind of read it to get the gist of what's going on and really see it for yourself. But yeah, it's a definite dystopian future type story with some aliens and some crazy stuff going on. But I think they're building to something better and bigger, and I think they're doing a great job right now. I'm really excited to see issue 3, and I'm shocked this is from Image, because most Image books I've been reading have been major letdowns. But this one is turning out to be a real gem, and I hope it continues to be this good. If you get a chance, go out, check it out, see what you can find. I've seen reprints of issue 1, so if you get a chance, you should be able to find issue 1. Issue 2 just hit the stands this week as of this recording in March of 2018, so you should be able to find it on the shelf, and hopefully you don't have to pay more than cover price, but it's definitely worth the cover price. I had a lot of fun with it. Highly recommend it. That'll do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for listening. Please hit like and subscribe, and we hope to see you on the next episode. Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at Versus issue 3 from Image Comics from Ivan Brandon and Asad Ribic with Nick Klein. Now this issue is a little different than the other two. Instead of focusing on Sada Flynn, we are seeing a bit more of the world around him, including Major Devi, who has saved him a couple of times apparently. And it appears some time has passed since the second issue, so there's interviews with people who are fans. Flynn's ratings have gone way up despite his poor performance, and it looks like Device saved him a couple times, and it's implied that despite his latest failings, he's still very, very popular. Now everybody's trying to figure out why, and it's affecting their bottom line, which is incredibly important. And status appears to be very, very important in this futuristic kind of utopia for the mega popular and wealthy. And we see Flynn for about a page, and Devi is really rude to him. But the people that are in the know are trying to figure out why he's so popular, and because it is hurting them, they need a resolution for this. They can't understand what they're calling his unseen popularity, and nobody can explain to them why. And then they find a guy eating in the audience. And he obviously doesn't particularly want to be there. He's a little smart mouth. So they're about to have him dragged out, but he says something right before he is dragged out. And then they stop things and say, tell us what you just said. And he had mentioned that Flynn, if he had died, it would have been a hero's ratings. That apparently is going to be their plan. So we're left wondering what's going to happen. There's, I don't know, 3 or 4 pages here that are kind of wasted with fake ads. That's a little annoying. But the art is beautiful as always. The scenery is really well done. It's got a great futuristic look. The story here is definitely more middle story. I believe this is only a 5-issue miniseries, so they're really trying to squeeze in a lot of plot points here, which is good and bad. Good in the sense that you're getting a more complete aspect of the story. Bad in the respect that it's not the action-oriented issue that 1 and 2 were. It's not a complex story. It's very simplistic, so it's nice they were able to do it concisely in this issue so that we can get back to the action next issue, which is obviously going to be a much more action-packed issue with what they've set up here. It was a solid issue. It was just very middle story. Don't expect a whole lot of action. There's some scenes of action, like edited clips of a TV show, that sort of thing, where you're seeing bits of things that happened, but not in a full sequence. There's no full action fight scenes or anything like that. But it was a very interesting issue, and it does advance the plot. So I'll say it's a good read there, but if you want the action, you're either going to have to wait or go back and get issues 1 and 2. This story in this issue will make 0 sense if you haven't read the first 2 issues. So you're really going to have to get those issues if you want to know what this issue has to do with anything. Otherwise, it'll be really dumb. But I'll continue to recommend it. I think it's a really well done book, and the art is just amazingly beautiful. I can't recommend that enough. So that's really about all I've got for this one. Thanks as always for listening, and be sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And we hope to see you on the next one. Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at Verse, issue 4 from Image Comics 2018. Now this is the plot to assassinate Sada Flynn is in full effect. His manager's out there telling him to make history. He's going out and showing off his new equipment and gear, and people are cheering him, and it's got that same vibe as the other issues, and everything looks like it's on the up and up. And he enters the battlefield and things just go completely wrong. His armor's not working right. Everything's acting like it's got a mind of its own. He's attacking teammates inadvertently, because the equipment is malfunctioning, and one of the others kind of figures it out and bails him out, but he's definitely in a bad spot. There's a giant machine trying to kill him too, but thankfully there is the opportunity of escape, and the dome arena is punctured. Although his tech won't work out there, he'll have no communication. He is able to have a chance. We don't know if he's going to take it yet or not, because the whole is the cliffhanger ending. Sorry, kind of ruined that. But this was a great issue. I was really hesitant at first because I was like, where are they going with this? Because the first 4 or 5 pages looks like it's going one way and then it veers into another direction. And his confusion about what's going on feels very genuine, very human. And the art is just amazing. I really like the art in this. It's got that real European look to it. And it really, really comes together with the story in this one. And the fake ads are pretty fun too, as always. I think they're kind of wasted space that could have been put towards story, but they are fun. It really adds to the feel of the universe. So I would definitely recommend this. I felt like I got my $4 worth out of it, and I was not disappointed with what happened. So the script is by Ivan Brandon with art by Asad Ribic. Color art was Nick Klein. Lettering was Aditya Bidikar. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Edited by Sebastian Gierner. And I thought everybody did a real good job. It had a real cool, epic kind of feel to it, and it was really cool to see Flynn kind of out of his element and confused as to what's going on. Hopefully everything pulls together quite well for him in the end, but we shall see. I think this is only a 5 or 6 issue run, so it's getting pretty close to the end here. But overall, I would definitely recommend this issue and this whole series, and I had a lot of fun reading it, and it really kind of is a culmination explanation of what happened previously. You definitely need to have the first 3 issues to know what's going on in this one, otherwise you'll be completely lost. So unfortunately, it's not a good jumping on point. It is definitely mid-story, but it's well worth the money in my opinion. As always, thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you liked the video, hit like, consider subscribing, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one. Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at Verse Issue 5. This is a 5-part miniseries from Image Comics in 2018. Script by Ivan Brandon, art by Asad Ribic, colors by Nick Klein, Ive Sorvincia, and M. Roberts. Lettering by Adita Bidikar. Edited by Sebastian Gerner. Cover art by Asad Ribic. Now the cover does seem a little boring if you haven't been reading the series, but this does relate to what's going on in the book. Now Sada Flynn is apparently dead, but we know that he is in fact not dead and that he has escaped outside of the city walls. But unfortunately, that's not acceptable because although the overseers have made it look like he's dead, they actually need him to be dead. So they come up with a cunning plan that's really devastating potential, but they're safe in outer space, so they don't really care. Meanwhile, Mama Martinez is still in the city and she has her own problems that she needs to deal with. She does find an ally, but things are progressing pretty quickly, and people that you wouldn't expect end up being allies in strange ways. I can't say too much without giving away major plot elements of this issue about, you know, who's who and who's on what side, but the citizenry is starting to figure things out. And unfortunately, the people on high cannot have that, so they launch an asteroid at the Earth, and they figure it'll wipe out that city, but it's honed in on Flynn, and unfortunately, Flynn's heading back into the city. And we get some really awesome action with these mech things. We get somebody in a rocket ship, and we do get resolution on who won this round of the game, because war is a game here. Now, this story ends with a really good ending, an appropriate one, but it does set up future stories in this universe, which unfortunately have never been made. I really would like to see more of this universe that they've built here, because it's really well done. There's some great ideas here. I had a lot of fun reading this miniseries. It took me a long time to track down this issue, and it really was worth the wait. This is some of Asad Ribic's best art. I think a lot of his more modern stuff looks really rushed at times, and this looks more like a labor of love. It also has a very European look to it. If you like a lot of the comics in Heavy Metal Magazine, you'll probably like this. Unfortunately, I think Asad Ribic's art has suffered from his time in the major publishers, and this really is some of his best work. So a fun story about what one individual can accomplish, even by accident, and the cost of hero worship and being a hero. So a lot of potential here for a fun universe that doesn't seem to have been followed up on, but if you get a chance to check out this miniseries, I highly recommend it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I do believe it was reprinted in trade paperback, so it might be, but I had a lot of fun reading the individual issues, and I enjoyed it just as much reading it the second time because I had to refresh myself on what happened to understand this issue, and I would have to say it was worth it. The mech things look really cool. All around, really fun issue. The weakest part of it's the cover, and the cover does relate to what's happening in the book. It just wouldn't sell you on it on its own. So if you get a chance to check it out, I would definitely recommend this series. That'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one.